The music box played a lullaby, but the tiny ballerina inside was weeping blood. Looking back, I should have known that day in the dusty, neglected antique shop was the beginning of my nightmare. The moment I welcomed something truly ancient and malevolent into my life. This antique was more than just a cursed object. It was a hungry entity, slowly trying to consume my sanity, and then my life I thought calling a paranormal investigator would help, but it only made things worse. Much, much worse. The first sign was subtle, a faint, tinny lullaby echoing through my quiet apartment when no music was playing. Then came the cold spots, drafts swirling through rooms with all windows shut. I tried to convince myself it was just an old house. Settling, but the music box, perched innocently on my mantelpiece, became the focal point of my unease. I'd walk past it and catch the tiny ballerina's painted eyes seeming to follow me. One morning, still half asleep, I stepped onto the bathroom floor and felt a sickening squish. My heart hammered against my ribs, an icy dread creeping up my spine as I looked down to see fresh, bloodied footprints leading from the shower across my clean tile floor, vanishing outside the open door. There were no cuts on my feet, no logical explanation. It was a terrifying premonition of what was to come. Later, a 3 a.m. alarm I'd set went off. Not on my phone like I intended, but from the music box downstairs, playing its chilling lullaby in the empty living room, the notes elongated and distorted like hands dragging across piano keys. That was when I began to realize the terrifying discovery of what the ballerina truly craved. Not just energy or fear, but something far more visceral, far more alive. I started searching online, poring over forums dedicated to the paranormal. Desperately seeking answers, I found countless stories of cursed objects, of entities bound to everyday items. But nothing quite like this. The more I read, the more I felt a palpable presence behind me. A cold breath on my neck, a soft, mocking chuckle that sent shivers through my very bones. I reached out to a renowned paranormal investigator I found online, a stoic woman named Dr. Alistair, who agreed to visit. Her presence seemed to calm the air for a brief moment. She confirmed my worst fears. A powerfully malevolent entity was indeed attached to the music box, feeding on my fear and vital energy. She advised me to remove it from my home, suggesting a specialized containment method. But after she left, the entity seemed to erupt with a vengeful fury. It was as if my attempt to cast it out only strengthened its resolve, turning its subtle torment into outright terror. Objects didn't just move. They were thrown with violent force. The whispers became guttural growls. I woke up with scratches on my arms, thin red lines that pulsed with an unholy heat. One night, I saw the ballerina herself standing in the hallway, swaying with a macabre grace, her petite form silhouetted against the moonlight before she scuttled back into the box. It was then, staring at my own reflection, that I understood the true horror. The doll wasn't just in the music box. It was now a part of me. A parasitic twin whispering its desires into my very soul, and there was no escape. The investigator had given me a hidden compartment in the music box. Inside, not a mechanism, but a small folded piece of parchment. It was an ancient ritual, a desperate measure to bind the entity, not destroy it. The chilling script detailed a blood sacrifice, not of an animal, but a drop of my own. It was a terrifying let it consume me slowly or offer it a taste, hoping to sate its hunger and seal it away. With trembling hands, guided by the desperation to live, I performed the ritual. The music box began to hum, a deep, resonating thrum that vibrated through the floorboards. The ballerina inside thrashed wildly, her limbs stretching and contorting into grotesque shapes, her painted face morphing into a silent scream. I felt an unimaginable pull, a draining sensation, as if my very essence was being siphoned away. But then, as quickly as it began, it stopped. The air grew heavy, thick with a lingering scent of dust and something metallic. But the overwhelming malevolence was gone. The music box stood silent, inert. I sealed the box in a thick lead container, burying it deep beneath an old oak tree far from my home. The silence that followed was deafening, a relief I never thought I'd feel again. But the experience changed me. I still wake in the dead of night, ears straining for that faint, tinny lullaby. And sometimes in the corner of my eye, I still see the tiny ballerina weeping blood.